Now I want to talk about your knowledge and your belief on this. You're a smart person, right?
How am I supposed to answer that?
Well, let's go through your resume. You went to Brandeis University, right?
I did.
You graduated magna cum laude.
I did.
If you could explain to the jury what that means.
It means I studied a lot and got good grades.
All right. It means, and to speak, I'm from the Northeast. My Boston accent may give it away. It means you're wicked smart, right?
That's very
You had a high
nice of you.
GPA, a very high GPA.
I work hard.
You also went and you got a master's degree from the University of Cambridge.
I did.
You were a Gates Scholar.
I was.
You then go to the University of Miami School of Law, which is a top-tier law school, Tier 1, right?
Okay.
Right? We're talking about your level of intelligence. You went to the University of Miami Law School, right?
I did, yes.
You also clerked at the 11th Circuit Court of Appeals, right?
I did.
Now, to get a clerkship out of law school, it's a very difficult thing to do, right?
It's challenging.
You have to have top grades. You have to go through a rigorous selection process, right?
Yes.
You then become a professor at the Florida State University College of Law, right?
Yes.
You're also a published author, right?
Now you're just embarrassing me.
This case everywhere. You'd agree with me on that, right?
I've been advised by my lawyer not to read it.
All right. Now, we're not talking about reading stuff. There's podcasts,
Also not to listen.
TV shows,
Also not to watch.
articles.
Don't read.
And so you've made the decision. Now, you're a lawyer yourself too, right?
I am.
And you made the decision, I'm not going to look at any of this stuff.
Correct.
I don't want to know what happened to the father of my two children.
Not I don't want to know what happened.
How can you say you love those boys if you don't care who killed the father that they loved?
You also have a separate obligation as an attorney to tell the truth, right?
Of course.
Okay.
I don't believe that I did.
You did not.
I don't remember doing that, no.
No further questions.
I don't remember exactly the timeline of that.
Okay, thank you.
Lawyers, yeah.
I honestly don't remember.
What if I told you that the smartest person in the room might also be the most dangerous? That a law professor, a published author, a woman praised for her brilliance, could sit at the center of a murder-for-hire conspiracy for over a decade without ever being charged? What if I told you that while her brother, her mother, and 4 others sit behind bars serving life sentences for orchestrating the execution of her ex-husband, she remains free, not because she's innocent, but because she might be exactly what everyone says she is. Too smart to get caught. This is the story of Wendi Adelson. And if you think you know where this is going, you're wrong. Because in this case, what you don't hear matters more than what you do. What isn't said speaks louder than any confession. And the woman at the center of it all has never stopped talking while somehow saying absolutely nothing at all. If you're ready to question everything you thought you knew about guilt and innocence, about performance and grief, about family loyalty and self-preservation, then you need to subscribe to Dark Trail Files right now. Because what we're about to uncover doesn't just solve a murder. It reveals how someone can hide in plain sight while the entire world is watching. Hit that subscribe button. Turn on notifications. Because you won't want to miss a single moment of this. July 18th, 2014. 11 o'clock in the morning. Tallahassee, Florida. A quiet neighborhood called Benton Hills. The kind of place where professors jog in the morning and kids play in cul-de-sacs. Dan Markel had just dropped his 2 young sons at daycare. He'd finished his workout at the gym. He was pulling into his own driveway, talking on his cell phone, heading home to an empty house. He never made it inside. 2 shots, fired through the driver's side window. 1 to the forehead, 1 to the left cheek. The gunman stood between 6 and 30 inches away, close enough to see his face. Close enough to make sure he didn't miss. Dan Markel's neighbor heard something. A loud bang. Then he saw a car backing out of the driveway. A metallic green Toyota Prius. Moving fast. Disappearing down the street. The neighbor rushed over. What he found would haunt him forever. Dan slumped in the driver's seat. Blood covering his head. The car still running. The window shattered. His phone still connected to the call he'd been on when the killer pulled the trigger. Listen to this. This is what real urgency sounds like. Raw, unscripted, desperate. Remember this tone, because you're going to hear something very different soon.
911, what's the address of your emergency case then? Okay, tell me exactly what happened.
We heard him looked in, the garage door was up, and I thought the gentleman was backing out, and I went back to my house, but he never backed out, and I came back over, and his driver's side window is shattered, and he's battered and can't answer. He's inside. I don't know if somebody tried to shoot him or if he shot himself or what. I don't know. He didn't send an ambulance in a hurry. An EMT. He's still alive. He's moving.
Okay, what's going on with him?
I don't know. The driver's side window is all bashed in, and he's got blood all over his head. He's not responding to me. I think you need to hurry.
Yeah, I'm going to get him on the way to you. I just want to ask you a few questions, okay?
Go ahead, but send them as you're asking.
Yes, sir. They're already on the way, okay? Are you with him now?
Very good. I'm standing right outside the garage door.
Can you tell me how old he is?
I don't know. He looks like maybe 35 or 40.
Hang on 1 second for me, okay?
Okay.
All right, sir. I apologize about that. What was how old is the patient again? I'm sorry.
I can't tell. He looks maybe 35 or 40. I don't know.
Okay. And is he awake?
He's just moving his head around, but he's not responding. I've called his name, asked what's going on, or not called his name, but asked him what's happening. He's not responding to that, but his head's kind of rolling around.
Okay. Is he conscious?
Well, I can't tell.
Okay. Is he breathing?
I can't tell that. I'm assuming he's breathing if he's moving his head around.
Did you ever hear him talk or anything?
No.
Okay. You said he's sitting in the car, right?
Correct, in the driver's seat.
Okay. Where exactly is he? In the driver's seat? You know.
In the driver's seat.
Is he in the garage or?
In the garage.
Okay. Can you direct the emergency crews to him, sir?
Sure.
Okay. All right, I'm sending the paramedics to help you now. Just stay on the line. I'll tell you exactly what to do next.
Okay.
If it's safe to do so, see if he is conscious and breathing or moving at all, okay?
It's not safe for me to do. I don't want to put my hand in here.
Okay. Well, help's on the way.
Okay.
All right.
I'll be standing by. And I've heard about break-ins in the area, and so I decided to walk over and take a look. And the garage door was up and asked him what was happening. And then I saw the window was shattered, and he's got blood. I'm going to be over here waiting for the EMT, honey. Okay, go ahead, but just tell the kids to hold on inside. They're okay. So tell them I'm out here.
All right, just stay on the line with me for now, okay, sir?
Okay,
I got them on the way to you.
Very good. I'm standing at the street, so if I see him coming down the street, I can direct him right in.
So he won't respond to you at all?
Not to me.
Holler at him or anything?
Yeah, he didn't respond, but his head kind of moving around.
Okay.
But I've walked away from the car right now. I'm standing at the street, so.
And he's?
No.
Okay.
He's inside. The window's shattered. The garage door was up.
Okay.
Where is the vehicle dispatched from?
I'm not sure. Give me a second. I'll try to see where they are, okay? Is he still moving around?
I don't know. I'm standing at the street now trying to wait for your vehicle. Did you say you were checking on where it was?
Yes, sir.
Or where it's coming from?
Mm-hmm.
Where is it coming from?
I'm checking.
Okay.
Got several people on the way. Looks like one person's coming from Maclay Road.
Okay, well, it may take them a while to get here then. We're close to the hospital, so.
Mm-hmm. So you're saying his head is bloody now?
Yeah, it's been bloody. I mean, it's the window shattered. I don't know if he's tried to shoot himself. I don't know what the situation is.
And it's the driver's side window, correct?
That's correct. He's still moving around, so he's alive.
Okay. Looks like I should have an officer coming up the roadway.
Okay, well, we need EMT.
Well, the officer's going to be there first. They're not going to come until we figure out what's going on, but they're on the way as well, okay?
He better be if this guy's got a shot living.
Yes, sir. They're on the way as well, okay?
Yeah. It looks like could be the officer now.
Is he there?
Yeah, he's just coming up right now.
Okay. I'm going to go ahead and let you go, sir, okay?
Okay, very good.
Thank you.
Right.
The neighbor screamed into his phone. He told the dispatcher there was blood everywhere, that Dan was still alive, still moving, that they needed to hurry. But there was a problem. The dispatcher coded it wrong, marked it as lower priority. By the time paramedics arrived, 19 minutes had passed. 19 minutes between life and death. Between a father seeing his children again and two little boys losing their dad forever. Dan Markel died the next day in the hospital. He was 41 years old, a renowned legal scholar, a professor at Florida State University, a man who wrote extensively about punishment and justice in the criminal system. The irony is almost too painful to process. A man who dedicated his life to understanding how justice works. Taken down in his own driveway, in broad daylight, in a murder for hire that would take over a decade to unravel. And at the center of it all, the woman he'd once loved, the woman he'd married, the woman who'd given him 2 sons, the woman who wanted to leave Tallahassee so desperately that prosecutors would later argue she'd do anything to make it happen. Wendi Adelson. But here's what makes this case different from every other murder for hire you've ever heard about. When he wasn't some grieving ex-wife on the sidelines, she was questioned within hours. She gave multiple interviews. She testified at every single trial. She appeared in court again and again, answering questions about her ex-husband's death. And yet, 11 years later, she's never been charged. Not arrested. Not indicted. Still free. The question isn't whether she knew. The question is how she's managed to stay one step ahead of everyone trying to prove it. To understand what happened that July morning, you have to go back. Back to a marriage that was crumbling. Back to a custody battle that consumed everything. Back to a family that would stop at nothing to get what they wanted. Dan Markel and Wendi Adelson met in the academic world. 2 brilliant legal minds. Both professors at Florida State University. Both ambitious. They married. Had 2 sons. Built what looked like a life in Tallahassee. From the outside, it seemed perfect. But beneath the surface, cracks were forming. Deep ones. The kind that don't heal. In September 2012, Dan came home from a business trip to find divorce papers on his bed. His wife and children gone. Most of his belongings missing. Large sums of money withdrawn from their accounts. When he had left without warning. Without discussion. She filed for divorce and took the kids. Years of marriage ended with a piece of paper on an empty bed. But there was a problem. Dan didn't want to lose his children. And Florida law was on his side. When he wanted to move to South Florida. To Miami. To be closer to her wealthy family. Her parents, Donna and Harvey Adelson. Her brother, Charlie. The family ran a successful dental practice called the Adelson Institute. They had money, influence, connections, and they wanted Wendi back in Miami. They wanted their grandsons close. They wanted Dan Markel out of the picture. The emails between Wendi and her mother during this time reveal an obsession. A fixation on getting out of Tallahassee. Donna would write to Wendi constantly, encouraging her, supporting her, strategizing with her. This wasn't just a daughter going through a divorce. This was a family going to war. But the court said no. In June 2013, a judge denied Wendi's motion to relocate with the children. She would have to stay in Tallahassee, share custody, remain in a city she openly despised. The ruling devastated her, and it enraged her family. The divorce was finalized in July 2013. 50-50 custody. Dan got to keep his sons close. He'd won. Or so he thought, because Wendi's family was furious. Emails later revealed in court would show just how furious. Donna Adelson wrote things that would make your blood run cold. She called Dan terrible names. She said he was ruining her daughter's life. She talked about ways to force him to agree, to make him so miserable he'd have no choice but to let them go. The Adelson family even discussed offering Dan money, $1 million. Just to let Wendi leave with the boys. Think about that. $1 million to give up your children. And then Dan did something that would seal his fate. In May 2014, just 2 months before his death, he filed a motion to restrict Donna Adelson from having unsupervised visits with her grandsons. He claimed she was making disparaging remarks about him in front of the children, poisoning them against their father. The hearing was scheduled, but it never happened, because on July 18th, 2014, Dan Markel was shot in his driveway. And suddenly, there was no one to object to the relocation anymore. No one to fight for custody. No one standing in the way. Within weeks, she'd moved. Changed their last names from Markel to Adelson. Cut off all contact between Dan's parents and their grandsons. Claimed it was for their safety. But was it? Or was it the end game all along? Now watch this. Hours after Dan was shot, police sat down with Wendi. This is what grief looks like. Or is it? Pay attention to when the emotion appears. And when it doesn't.
Did your ID with you?
I just listened to my voicemail.
What'd you hear?
I
Who was
just-
your voicemail?
It's from Lisa Carey, who is my real estate agent, or who I had gone with to find a house. She just said she was driving around town and she heard there was a shooting on Trescott.
Yeah. That's what this is about. I'm sorry you had to hear it that way.
I'm sorry, I didn't know if I should.
It's all right. Just leave it there. Is it still on?
It's right there.
Hey, it's Lisa Carey. It is Friday, and I feel like an idiot doing this, but I just heard that there was a shooting over on Trescott, and I promise I'm not trying to be dramatic or even nosy. I don't know, just checking on you, my friend. I hope all is well. I hope your sweet boys are well, and if there's anything you need, let me know. It just ran a chill down my spine when I heard that there was something going on Trescott. All right, 212-3083. Hope all is well, and I will talk to you soon. Bye.
That's all right. You can stop it. Or does it stop automatically?
It's done.
Okay. Do you have your identification with you? So you never took the last name of Markel?
No.
Adelson. Okay. Wendi with an I. Joe. All right. There was a shooting at your home, or your ex-husband's home, at 2116 Trescott. Okay. Your ex-husband, Daniel, all right, has been taken to the hospital. He's not going to survive.
Oh my God.
Okay.
I'm sorry. I'm about to turn this party. What happened?
Well, before we get into everything, I have to establish where you were and who you were with and so forth.
Okay.
Okay, and then once we've established all that, I can give you more details.
Okay.
Do you understand why I wanted you to come here before I discuss this?
Oh my God. I'm sorry.
That's okay. No, you have nothing to be sorry about.
I just don't understand. How did this happen?
Can you let me get over this hump, okay? Can we do that first? All right. Can you tell me what time you left your house this morning?
Yeah, I was there. I didn't leave this morning. I didn't leave until noon.
Okay. And
Oh my God. And I tried to drive up Trescott and I saw that it was blocked.
It was blocked at some point. I'm not sure what time it was
And I
blocked.
just thought, oh, there's maybe some trees down or something. Because sometimes
Oh, you're saying as you drove down which one of the side roads?
when I'm going to a friend's party tonight, and it's a my god, what am I even talking about? I needed to buy, it's a stock the shelf engagement party, and so I went to buy bourbon.
Okay.
So I went to drive from my place up Trescott to get to ABC Liquor, and it was blocked, so I just turned around. I was on the phone at the time, I wasn't paying a lot of attention.
Right.
So I just turned around and drove up the other way. I just thought, oh, sometimes when I lived there were electrical things
Okay.
that would happen. I left my house around 12:15 because I thought I'll get the bourbon and then I'll get some gas for the car and maybe get super glue for one of the boys' toys. And I was trying to do all I can before meeting my two friends at 1.
Okay, who was at your house this morning?
The only person that was at my house this morning was a guy from Best Buy because my TV was broken and it's under warranty.
Good for you.
Yeah, I figured.
Okay, a guy from Best Buy was at your house to work on your TV?
I have his name and everything at the house if you
Okay.
want it, because the boys broke the TV, so he gave me a choice of fixing it or getting a new one.
What time did he come to the house?
He called me at around 8. He was probably there until around 10.
Okay.
Um,
Okay. And then you
and then after he left, I kept working on a paper, and I emailed the paper to a librarian at school to work on some of the citations.
Okay.
And I don't think I talked to anyone else, but I was just working for an hour or so from the house. I was going to take a shower, but I didn't. I ran out of time. I did laundry. And then I left the house around noon.
To go to the liquor store and the stuff for the party?
Yeah.
Okay, you went down which road you said?
I went down Trescott.
Okay.
I saw a police car there, and I just thought it was blocked, so I just turned around and drove to, I went down the rest of Centerville, went up Benton across, went to ABC Liquors, bought the bourbon.
I'm a little confused. You're up on Centerville Road. What's your purpose of driving down Trescott?
It's usually the shortcut to get to
Oh.
Monroe.
To get to Monroe?
I usually take it as a cut through to get to Thomasville or Monroe.
Okay, all right, so
I
you,
don't know why I said Monroe. I was thinking Mosaic, Monroe, Thomasville.
okay, so when you come down into town on Centerville,
I almost always cut through Trescott.
Trescott, and just drive by your old house?
Well, I do it as a way of like coming to terms with a divorce. But yeah, sometimes I drive there. If I'm too sad, I drive around.
Okay,
If the kids aren't home and I know they're not home, I feel better about driving by the house. But yeah, it's shorter and I just usually drive by.
it's shorter than going all the way down to Benton.
All the way down Centerville and around Benton. It's just
Right.
a shortcut I always took.
Okay, so you turned around and went back to Centerville, I take it,
Yeah.
down to Benton, and went to the liquor store down there on Thomasville?
Yeah.
The one at Benton Road?
ABC Liquors, it's at, Benton.
Okay, all right, did you make a purchase there?
Yeah,
And that was sometime after 12?
probably 12:30.
Okay, all right.
And I talked to a guy there because I don't really buy much alcohol, and so they wanted bourbon, and I asked the guy, we had a whole conversation about bourbon and
Right.
my eyes, like,
Your eyes?
he just said, your eyes are really blue,
Right.
and
You have contacts?
I do.
Okay.
But I just remembered it.
Right.
So I bought the bourbon and got some gas on Thomasville and met my friends at Mosaic.
Which gas station did you go to on Thomasville?
The one that's, I always forget the name, but the one that's close to the cross street is right next to the Goodwill.
Okay.
If you're heading north on Thomasville, if you're heading north on Thomasville, it's on your right.
Okay, just past the Goodwill
Just
place?
past the Goodwill, it's close to the intersection there.
Okay, all right, and then from that point, you went straight to the
Went to Mosaic
Mosaic restaurant?
and met friends there. I used to have kind of a steady Friday meeting, and I hadn't seen my two friends in a while. And so we had made plans to meet up.
What time did you get to Mosaic?
About 1. I was a little late. We were supposed to meet at 1, and I got there a few minutes after.
Okay, all right, I know it's cold in here, okay?
I think that's not why I'm
Okay,
shaking.
I know it's part of it, but do you know anybody that would have a beef against your ex-husband?
He's, oh my God.
I hate to ask it now, but I have to do it now. You understand, right?
I understand. He had friends. He always meant well, but he would sometimes rub people the wrong way.
Okay.
But not anyone who would do something like this.
Anybody that he owes money to?
No, he owes money to me.
He owes money to you?
But
Okay.
not me.
Okay. All right. All right.
Oh my God, we're poor kids. Oh, I know a lot of people didn't really love him, but I don't know anyone who would do something like this.
Well, we're still trying to determine, what happened and how it happened.
But he wouldn't do this to himself.
Okay.
He was a very positive person.
Okay. No one that you know of or that he's spoken to recently that he's had some type of problem with or that he was concerned about?
No one that he was concerned about. I mean, we've been separated for 2 years, so I don't know,
Right.
If he had something going on, I wouldn't know about it, but, I mean, I had lost my voice earlier this week, and so we had put off this conversation about our son's school and where he was going to go, and he, I know a lot of people didn't love him, but not anyone who would, hate him.
Okay.
He meant well. Everyone that knew him knows that he means well, but he can be a little argumentative.
Right.
But not, he didn't owe anyone money. He didn't do anything except work and take care of his kids. He wasn't involved in anything bad.
Okay.
I can't believe this is happening.
I know. And he was a professor at the law school, is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay. And your divorce has been 2 years or the total separation, I'm assuming?
Total separation's been 2 years. Our divorce was finalized last summer around this time.
Okay.
He wouldn't do this to himself. He has a girlfriend now.
When police arrived at Wendi Adelson's home on the day of the shooting, they found a woman who seemed shocked, devastated. She covered her face. Her voice shook. She appeared to be crying. But here's what's strange. The tears that seemed so present in some moments vanished completely in others. Her composure returned almost instantly when asked certain questions. She'd answer calmly, articulately, like someone giving a deposition, not like someone whose ex-husband had just been murdered. And then there was what she said. Little things, strange things, things that didn't quite add up. She mentioned that her brother Charlie had joked about the divorce, about how getting her a new television was cheaper than hiring a hitman to kill Dan. She laughed when she said it, called a joke, but the police didn't laugh, because jokes like that don't age well when someone actually gets shot. Here's Wendi in court, years later, still talking about that joke, still explaining it, still minimizing it. But listen carefully. Does it sound like a throwaway comment? Or does it sound like something she's been rehearsing?
I absolutely had a close relationship with my brother.
And how soon after the murder did your lawyer advise you not to talk to your family about it?
In 2016.
Okay, so what about the 2 years in between? Did you talk to him about it then?
I mean, I talked to him about the fact that a murder occurred, but I guess I don't understand the question.
But you never talked to him about the suspicions you raised in the law enforcement interview that your brother might have done it?
No, I did not.
You suspected your brother could have been a part of this, right?
I suspected lots of people could have been a part of it.
But he was one of the people, right?
while I was talking with law enforcement for 6 hours, terrified out of my mind, I offered them every possible idea I could come up with.
Right. And one of the possible ideas was that your brother could have murdered your child's father.
I didn't really believe that was possible.
Was part of the plot for you to be able to have plausible deniability about this?
Absolutely not.
Is it better for both you and your brother if you don't know the details of this?
I don't even understand the question that you're asking me.
When did you first become aware that you might be a suspect in this case?
I mean, as the ex-wife, I assumed I was a suspect from the beginning.
What was your first thought when you were asked if anyone might have murdered Dan Markel for your benefit?
I thought, oh my God, maybe if I hadn't divorced him, he would still be alive. Maybe this is my fault because I complained to the wrong person. Maybe Danny gave a student a bad grade and they came after him. I just was trying to think of who possibly could have wanted to hurt him.
But you didn't say any of that before. I mean, the first thing you said was Charlie, right?
I don't think so.
Page 25 of your interview, line 5 through 15. Do you have any reason to dispute? Page 25, not 5 hours into it. You say Charlie might have done it, right?
Can I see, please?
You may. This is going to be tab 1, page 25.
What I say here is that he would never do it. Right under the highlighted part, I say no, he would never.
Need a copy?
No. Page 25, line 5 through 15. I mean, my brother, the one, his name is Charlie, the one I'm really close to. He makes a lot of jokes in that taste, and it was a joke he made. He bought the TV for me this morning that got broken, and then I was talking to him about whether it made sense to pay or fix it, or whether I should get a new one. And it was always his joke that, he knew that Danny always treated me badly, and it was always his joke. He said, I looked into hiring a hitman, and it was cheaper to get you this TV, so instead I got you this TV. And you do say you don't think he would do it, but can we agree you brought up his name on page 25 of the interview?
I did.
When asked, would you ever ask someone to do something like this? You say not in a million years. When asked, okay, do you think someone would do this for your benefit without asking you? You say no. And when Isom starts to ask you what good does it serve, you say, I mean my brother, the one, his name is Charlie. Isn't that how it went?
This is the transcript, but I think there's also inaccuracies in the transcription.
Oh boy. All right. Do you want the culpable parties held accountable for murdering the father of your children?
Absolutely. I'm grateful they're already in jail.
But not if it's your family.
It's not my family.
I mean, somebody hired them, right?
Not necessarily.
Somebody paid them.
I learned something this morning.
Yeah, me too. You didn't want them held accountable if it was your family members. Didn't you tell law enforcement that?
That's not what I told law enforcement.
What did you tell law enforcement?
I told them that the person who did this should be held responsible and that I had nothing to do with it.
Page 122, lines 7 through 12. If somebody tried to kill my ex-husband, they should be prosecuted to the full extent of the law. The investigator says regardless of who it is, and your answer is, I mean, it would be different if I thought it were my brother.
but I don't think it was my family, is what I said.
Different now, isn't it?
No, it's not different. That's exactly
different
what I
today,
said
isn't
right
it?
here. No, that's not right.
Further.
She also told police she'd been at home that morning waiting for a TV repairman, that her brother had given her a new television as a divorce present, that was broken, that she'd stayed home to get it fixed. A perfect alibi. Verifiable. Time-stamped. But later, when investigators dug deeper, they found something interesting. Her ex-boyfriend, a man named Jeffrey Lacasse, would tell a very different story about that TV, and about what Wendi had told him just days before Dan was killed. Lacasse dated Wendi in 2013 and 2014, right in the middle of the custody battle. And according to him, Wendi confided something chilling. She told him that her brother Charlie had looked into all options to deal with the Dan Markel problem. All options, including hiring a hitman. She said it would cost about $15,000. She said it like she was sharing a secret, like she trusted him, like she had no idea it would one day end up in a courtroom. When Lacasse heard about Dan's murder, he immediately went to police. He told them to investigate Charlie Adelson. He told them about the family's obsession with hating Dan. He used that exact word, obsession. He said their hobby was hating Danny, that he'd never seen anything like it. But Wendi? She had an alibi. She was home, waiting for the repairman, running errands, meeting friends for lunch. She was nowhere near the crime scene. And that's the thing about being smart. You don't have to pull the trigger. You just have to make sure you're somewhere else when it happens. For 2 years, the case went cold. Police had a green Prius. They had a neighbor's description. They had surveillance footage showing the car following Dan from the gym to his house. But they didn't have names. They didn't have suspects. And they couldn't prove who was behind it. Until they did. In 2016, a man named Luis Rivera made a deal. He was already in prison on federal racketeering charges, leader of a Latin Kings gang in North Miami. And he had information about a murder in Tallahassee. A law professor, a hit for hire. He agreed to testify in exchange for a reduced sentence. 19 years instead of life. Rivera named his accomplice, Sigfredo Garcia. The two of them had driven to Tallahassee together. Twice. The first trip was reconnaissance, scoping out the target, learning his routine. The second trip was the execution. July 18th, 2014. They rented a Toyota Prius, followed Dan Markel all morning, waited for him to come home. And when he pulled into his driveway, Garcia fired 2 shots through the window. But Rivera gave investigators something else. A name. Katherine Magbanua. The link between the hitmen and the money. Magbanua was Garcia's ex-girlfriend, the mother of his children, and she worked at the Adelson Institute, the family dental practice in South Florida, run by Donna and Harvey Adelson, where their son Charlie was a dentist. And Katherine Magbanua was dating Charlie Adelson. Suddenly, the connections became impossible to ignore. Money, motive, opportunity. The Adelson family's obsession with getting Wendi out of Tallahassee. Dan's refusal to let her go. The grandmother motion that threatened Donna's access to her grandsons. And a hired killer linked directly to the family business. Garcia and Magbanua were arrested. Magbanua's first trial ended in a hung jury. But in 2022, she was retried and convicted. Life in prison without parole. Garcia was convicted in 2019. Life in prison. Rivera testified against both of them. Serve his 19 years. All 3 of the people who actually carried out or facilitated the murder behind bars. But the Adelson family? They insisted they had nothing to do with it. That they were victims of speculation. That investigators were targeting them unfairly. That there was no evidence. They were wrong. Charlie Adelson thought he was untouchable. For years, he'd been named as an unindicted co-conspirator, mentioned in court documents, referenced in testimony, but never arrested, never charged. He lived his life, ran his dental practice in South Florida, told anyone who'd listen that he was innocent, that this was all speculation. He was confident, maybe too confident, until April 2022. That's when the FBI came for him, and the evidence they had was devastating. Wiretap phone calls between him and his mother. Financial records showing payments to Magbanua that lined up perfectly with the timeline. Testimony from his own ex-girlfriend, June Chinda, about seeing him staple cash together. The exact way the hitman's payment had been prepared. But the most damning evidence? A bump operation. In 2016, they had an undercover agent approach Donna Adelson in a parking lot. The agent handed her a magazine article about Dan's murder. On it, someone had written $5,000 and a phone number. The agent mentioned Katie's name. Katherine Magbanua. Suggested she was in trouble. Might be thinking about talking to police. What happened next was recorded. Every word. Donna didn't call a lawyer. Didn't call the police to report extortion. She called Charlie. Immediately. And in that conversation, they didn't sound like innocent people being harassed. They sounded like conspirators worried their plan was falling apart. They talked about Katie. About money. About keeping things quiet. Charlie's trial began in 2023. The courtroom was packed. This was the moment people had been waiting for. Almost a decade after Dan's murder. Finally, an Adelson facing charges. And when he took the stand, this is where it gets interesting. When he testified against her own brother, under immunity. Watch how she handles questions that should be easy for an innocent person. Watch how carefully she chooses every word.
It's like my parents have more reason to dislike Danny than almost anyone else. Is that what you said?
That is what I said.
And that's because he hurt you, right?
And I was saying that in the context of talking to law enforcement for hours and hours and trying to help them figure out who might be responsible.
Right. And who did you tell them might be responsible?
Well, I told them many, many people. But are you asking about this particular moment right here?
You told them your family might be responsible.
Or potentially someone to do with a former student or his current girlfriend. I mentioned lots of people that I thought could be responsible.
Okay. And of the lots of people that could have been responsible, your family was one.
Yep.
Because they might have done this thinking it would help you. I mean, that's what happened, right?
I'm sorry, I don't understand the question.
Your family had your ex-husband killed to try to help you, didn't they?
No, that's completely untrue.
When did you learn that Katherine Magbanua was blackmailing your brother for the murder of your ex-husband?
Today.
So he never told you?
No.
You testified in Katherine Magbanua's murder trial last year, didn't you?
I did, yes.
And she was convicted.
She was convicted, yes.
A crime for which she apparently is innocent because she was just a conduit for Sigfredo Garcia. Did you learn that today along with all of us?
Well, I learned that someone made that argument. I don't know whether it's true or not true.
Did your dad get any big gifts for his 70th?
I don't remember.
So there was no big lead up and discussion about some big gift that you were involved in, at least?
I don't remember. I don't remember if I gave him a present. I hope I did.
Do you remember what anybody gave him for that birthday?
I really don't.
Was the murder of Dan Markel your dad's big gift?
I mean, that's, of course not. That's a horrible thing to say.
What about the grandchildren, getting full unfettered access to the grandchildren?
My parents had full unfettered access to their grandchildren, always.
You want the culpable parties held accountable for murdering the father of your children?
Absolutely. I'm grateful they're already in jail.
But not if it's your family.
It's not my family.
Somebody hired them, right?
Not necessarily.
Somebody paid them.
I learned something this morning.
Yeah, me too. You didn't want them held accountable if it was your family members. Didn't you tell law enforcement that?
That's not what I told law enforcement.
What did you tell law enforcement?
I told them that the person who did this should be held responsible and that I had nothing to do with it.
Page 122, lines 7 through 12. If somebody tried to kill my ex-husband, they should be prosecuted to the full extent of the law. The investigator says regardless of who it is, and your answer is, I mean, it would be different if I thought it were my brother.
But I don't think it was my family, is what I said.
Different now, isn't it?
No, it's not different. That's exactly what I said
isn't
right
it?
here. Oh, that's not right.
No further questions.
She testified that she had no knowledge of the plot, that she never conspired, that she loved her brother, but had no idea what he'd done. But prosecutors pressed her hard. They showed emails, text messages, evidence of how desperately the family wanted her out of Tallahassee. evidence that she'd been the beneficiary of everything that happened after his death. The prosecution painted a picture: a family united in hatred, a mother who would do anything for her daughter, a brother who would protect his sister at any cost, and a sister who wanted something so badly that others were willing to kill for it. Charlie Adelson was convicted on all counts: first-degree murder, conspiracy, solicitation. The jury didn't hesitate. He was sentenced to life in prison plus 30 years. And as he left the courtroom in handcuffs, one thing was clear. He protected his sister, refused to implicate her, took the fall himself. But the question remained: why? Why protect someone if they're innocent? Why stay silent if there's nothing to hide? Donna Adelson watched her son get convicted, watch him get sentenced to life. And then she did something that told investigators everything they needed to know. She tried to run. In November 2023, just days after Charlie's conviction, Donna and her husband Harvey were arrested at Miami International Airport. They had one-way tickets to Vietnam, a country with no extradition treaty with the United States. They weren't going on vacation. They were fleeing. Wiretap calls revealed why. In conversations between Donna and Charlie after his conviction, they discussed countries without extradition. They talked about what would happen if she got arrested. They sounded like people who knew the walls were closing in. Donna was charged with first-degree murder, conspiracy, and solicitation, the same charges her son faced. And her trial would become a spectacle. Because this time, the evidence wasn't just about her. It was about the whole family, including Wendi. August 25th, 2025. Wendi walks into a courtroom to testify against her own mother. This moment is unprecedented. A daughter granted immunity, facing the woman who gave her life. Watch what happens.
Good morning. If you can just take your seat for right now, I will swear you in when the jurors re-enter the room. I believe, even though the jurors indicated they did not have to go to the bathroom at this point, if we are once again dealing with the needs of 14 people, they might be in the bathroom, so wait for the knock. Okay. It's fun. I believe that we have a few jurors that do need to use the restroom. If anyone needs to stretch their legs or use the bathroom themselves, please take your opportunity now. Once we start with the testimony, again, the door will remain closed if you exit. Go ahead. Oh, before you leave the room, Ms. Fulford, once again, Mrs. Adelson, I'm going to reiterate the instruction that I gave to you last Friday concerning any reactions that you may have to either the testimony or the evidence in the case. I understand this may be a distressing thing for your child to be offering testimony in your trial. However, you are to control your expressions and your emotions. Do you understand those? Everyone can take their break. If you need to step down until it's time to testify, you may do so as well.
The courtroom went silent. Donna visibly emotional, and Wendi composed as ever, ready to answer questions. Were these answers or carefully crafted non-answers?
Name and spell your name.
Wendi Adelson, Wendiadelson.
Miss Adelson, where are you from?
I'm from Coral Springs, Florida.
And you live in another state now currently, right?
I do, yes, ma'am.
All right. How are you employed?
I'm an immigration attorney.
How long have you been an attorney?
Since 2006.
And you're here pursuant to a state subpoena, is that correct?
Yes.
And that subpoena confers a type of immunity on you. Do you understand that?
I do.
Okay. Which means that nothing you say here in court pursuant to that subpoena can be used against you at a later time. Do you understand that?
I do.
Okay, but it doesn't necessarily mean you could never be prosecuted. It just means that what you say in court could not be used in any future prosecution. Do you understand that?
Yes.
All right. I want to ask you about your ex-husband, Daniel Markel. Is that a fair and accurate photo of Mr. Markel?
Yes.
When did you meet him?
We met originally online. It must have been the fall of my first year of law school, so 2003.
Okay. And when did you marry Mr. Markel?
We married in February of 2006.
Were you living in Tallahassee at some point as a married couple?
Yes.
When did you move to Tallahassee?
We moved to Tallahassee my final year of law school, so that would have been in the summer of 2005. And we were here from 2005 till 2006. We spent a year at the University of Miami from 2006 to 2007, and then came back to Tallahassee from 2007 until 2014.
All right. And during the time that you were living here in Tallahassee, did you live over on Trescott Drive?
For some of the time that we lived here, yes.
And when your first child was born, were you residing at the Trescott Drive residence at that point?
Yes.
Okay. I think I have a photo of that here. Is that the Trescott Drive residence?
Yes.
And how many children did you have with Mr. Markel?
We have 2 children.
What were their ages at the time of their father's death?
It was 10 days before my older son's 5th birthday, so he was 4 turning 5, and our younger son was 3.5. The boys are 14 months apart.
And did there come a time when you and Mr. Markel separated?
Yes.
When was the separation?
It was in the fall of 2012.
Whose decision was it to separate?
It was mine.
How did your ex take that news?
Well, we talked about it many times before it actually happened, but when the separation became official, he was very upset.
And even though there were problems and issues and discussions, it was a surprise to him when it actually happened, right?
It was.
Okay. And was part of the reason for the separation your differing views on how to raise the kids pursuant to the Jewish faith?
I'd say it was a very small part, but it was a part.
Did you consider your ex to be a religious zealot?
No, I didn't think he was a religious zealot, but I did think he was using religion as a way of controlling me.
When he testified that her mother was angry, very angry at Dan, that Donna micromanaged her life, that the custody situation frustrated everyone. But when asked directly if she knew about a murder plot, if she'd ever conspired, if she'd ever given information that could be used to kill her ex-husband, she said no. Firmly, repeatedly. No. Here it is. The moment prosecutors have been building to. A direct question. A direct denial. But listen to how she says it. Not with emotion. Not with indignation. With precision. Like someone who's practiced this answer 1,000 times.
Were you in any way involved in the plot to kill your ex-husband?
No.
Did you maybe know it was going to happen but not know the details?
I did not know it was going to happen, and I did not know any details.
Did you provide any information, even unknowingly in hindsight, that you think could have been used to assist the murderers?
I don't think so. I didn't provide any information.
What information do you have regarding your mother's involvement in the plot to kill your ex-husband?
I don't have information.
But you do admit that your brother said he looked into hiring a hitman to kill Dan Markel.
I don't. I admit that my brother made a tasteless joke repeatedly about buying me a TV because it was cheaper than hiring a hitman.
But then someone did hire a hitman who did kill Dan Markel, right?
Yes, that happened.
Was part of the plot to kill your ex for you to have plausible deniability or to know very little about it?
I was not involved in any plot to kill Danny.
Were you shielded from the plot because, I don't know, you couldn't be trusted to keep a secret?
I was not involved in any plot to kill Danny.
Why did you tell investigator Isom in your law enforcement interview that you were worried the police, or you were worried, I guess, in the police car on the way to be interviewed, that you might be considered a suspect?
Because I couldn't think of anything bad going on in his life other than the divorce. And frequently the ex-wife is a suspect.
Were you treated as a suspect?
I was not.
But you mentioned 9 times in your law enforcement interview being a suspect. Didn't you?
I did, yes.
Prosecutors presented text messages between Donna and Wendi from right after Charlie's conviction. Messages that would chill anyone reading them. Donna wrote, "Your brother protected you for years. Now you're not guilty. Your lawyer took very good care of you." Another message, "Everyone looks to protect you. I bet you've got a lot to think about." Those texts weren't the words of an innocent woman grateful her daughter hadn't been charged. They were the words of someone who knew exactly what had happened, who knew her daughter's freedom came at the cost of her son's silence, who was angry that when he hadn't called, hadn't shown gratitude, hadn't acknowledged what the family had done for her. And then something shocking happened. Donna's own defense attorney turned on Wendi. Not explicitly, but the implication was clear. If anyone is guilty, it's her.
I wouldn't say without his influence in any way, but yes, they've grown up without their father.
He's not here to give them advice.
He is not.
He can't come to any of their functions, sports, anything else.
Correct.
They're not eating kosher like they would have with their father.
They are not.
They don't have him at all.
They don't have him in their lives day to day, no.
Because on July the 18th of 2014, he was brutally murdered in his driveway. Isn't that true?
That is true.
And you testified on direct that anybody in your family that had anything to do with it should be held responsible. Isn't that correct?
Yes.
And that includes you, doesn't it?
Anyone who's responsible.
Redirect examination.
When you said you were an actor in someone else's show, whose show was it?
I think I felt like I just wasn't fully present in my own life, that I had always been a real people pleaser. And so there was an aspect of not always being true to myself and wanting to make other people happy.
And one of those people is your mom, right?
Yes.
And that's part of why you kept going with relocation, even when you kind of had some doubts about it, right?
I would say it's part of the reason.
The defense didn't come out and say it. They couldn't. But they planted seeds. They suggested Wendi had more knowledge than she admitted, that she'd benefited the most, that she was the one who wanted out of Tallahassee, that maybe, just maybe, this whole thing started with her. But it didn't matter. The jury deliberated. And on September 4th, 2025, they returned with a verdict. Guilty on all counts. Donna Adelson, age 75, was convicted of first-degree murder, of conspiracy, of solicitation. The matriarch of the Adelson family was going to prison for the rest of her life. At sentencing in October, Donna showed no remorse. She maintained her innocence. She blamed a biased system, a biased judge, a prejudiced jury. She cried, but not for Dan Markel, not for his parents who lost their son, not for the grandsons she'd never see again. She cried for herself. She was sentenced to life without parole. While all of this was unfolding, prosecutors kept circling back to something strange, something that felt too coincidental to ignore. Wendi's novel. In 2011, 3 years before Dan's murder, Wendi published a book called This Is Our Story. On the surface, it was about human trafficking, about vulnerable women trapped in terrible situations. But woven throughout was another story, a subplot that felt deeply personal. The story of a lawyer named Lily, a woman stuck in a small town in North Florida because of her husband's job, a woman who felt trapped, who wanted to leave, who resented her circumstances. Sound familiar? The parallels are impossible to ignore. Lily is married to a man named Josh. His career keeps them there. Just like Dan's professorship kept Wendi in Tallahassee. Lily feels stuck, isolated, far from her family. She grows to resent Josh, to blame him for her unhappiness, to see him as the obstacle between her and freedom. And then, in the final chapters, Lily does something shocking. She adopts a child without her husband's knowledge, tells him after the fact, informs him that she's taking the child and leaving, that she's forging her own path. Without him, he doesn't get a say. He's just erased, gone from the narrative. The book was published in September 2011, when he filed for divorce in September 2012. Exactly 1 year later, the court denied her relocation in June 2013. Dan filed the grandmother motion in May 2014, and in July 2014, he was dead, permanently removed. Just like Josh, prosecutors wanted to ask Wendi about this, about the parallels, about whether art was imitating life or predicting it. Listen to how she deflects.
And is that the only book you've written, or have you written more than one book?
I've only written one book.
What was the book about?
The book was about human trafficking and about the vulnerabilities that lead to trafficking, the problems when it occurs, and basically how to recover from it after.
Where was the book set?
It was set in a fictional town.
What was the name of the fictional town?
Hiawassee Springs.
So Hiawassee. Is it located in the panhandle of Florida?
No, I used to see the name when I was driving from Tallahassee to Orlando, so it's somewhere in between.
And was the place modeled after Tallahassee?
It was definitely somewhere in Florida, but not supposed to be about Tallahassee, no.
Who was the central character in that book?
So there's 3 central characters. One was one of my clients, kind of a composite character from Eastern Europe. One was kind of a composite character of many clients I've represented from Latin America, and one was a public interest lawyer.
And was the public interest lawyer Lily?
Yes.
And is that the character that's sort of based after yourself?
No, really more based after a friend of mine.
And was Hiawassee, Florida, quote, just a small stop on the way back to what we had previously known as civilization? Is that a quote from your book?
That sounds like a quote from my book, yeah.
And who's the husband of Lily, the public interest lawyer?
You want his name in the book?
Yes.
I think it was Josh Stone.
All right, and what was Josh's employment?
Josh was an English professor.
I'm sorry, what was your answer?
Josh was an English professor.
A professor, where did he teach?
It's been a while. I wrote the book over 10 years ago. I don't remember what I named the university in the
North Florida State University.
That sounds right.
NFSU?
NFSU sounds right, yeah.
All right, and in the book, does Lily lament, quote, we moved to this godforsaken place for Josh's career?
Yes, that sounds like a line Lily would say.
All right. When you looked at page 187 of the divorce document on cross, and I'll hand that back to you. This is actually my copy. Just turn back to 187. Do you see the quote that you read previously from that page?
I don't.
Okay. It had to do with, let's see if I can find it, that you were very unhappy in the marriage. I think it's the third paragraph there.
I see that line.
Okay, the wife has been very unhappy in the marriage and files her petition for dissolution of marriage in August 2012. The husband continues to characterize this as abandonment, and then it goes on to say that he had been disparaging you to some of the folks at the law school. Do you remember reading that?
I do.
Was that intended to be the place in this binder where you allege emotional abuse by your husband?
I mean, I think it's emotionally abusive to suggest somebody has mental health issues.
Okay. What is the Prof's blog? You were asked about that on Cross.
Yeah, it was a blog that Danny started with some of his colleagues to kind of promote community in the law professor world.
And who reads the Prof's?
Probably other law professors and people interested in becoming law professors.
Who is on the Crim Prof listserv?
I don't know.
Were you on the listserv for that Prof's blog?
I may have been on the listserv at some point.
Do you remember seeing the post that you were shown on Cross?
I do.
And the post says something about Danny and I are planning to attend a conference that will begin Sunday, July 20th. Is there any other information on what you were shown about Dan's travel plans post-murder other than that?
I'm sorry, can you please repeat the question?
The post says, Danny and I guess it's another professor writing this thing, Danny and I are planning to attend a conference that will begin Sunday, July 20th. Is that the type of information that he would typically have on something like the Prof's blog or Facebook?
That sounds right.
Okay, but as far as the date he's leaving, the flight he's on, that kind of stuff, would that typically be on the Prof's blog?
He wouldn't put what flight number he was on, but he would almost always communicate when he was going on a trip.
Okay, so going to a conference that starts July 20th might be an example.
Flying to New York tomorrow would be an example.
Okay. But
not a flight number.
But he didn't put flying to New York tomorrow on this occasion?
No.
You were referenced several times, not on direct examination by the state, but by your brother's attorney on cross as a co-conspirator. Are you charged in this case?
No.
This isn't your trial, is it?
No.
Is your brother charged with conspiring with you to do a murder?
No.
Is he charged with conspiring with you to plan a murder?
No.
Is he charged with soliciting you to do a murder?
No.
Who is he charged with doing those things with?
I don't think anyone.
Have you had an opportunity to review his indictment in this case?
I have not.
Give you an opportunity to take a look at that document to yourself. Who is your brother alleged to have done these crimes with?
Katherine Magbanua.
Were you on the wire in this case, Ms. Adelson?
No.
So when the bump happened, are you familiar with the event I'm referencing as the bump?
I am now.
When law enforcement approached your mother on the street and handed her a piece of paper?
Yes.
Okay. When that occurred, who did your mother call?
I don't know.
Not you, right?
Not me.
Okay. And once your brother found out about the bump, did he call you about it?
No.
Who did he call?
I don't know.
Well, you listened to the calls to authenticate the voices, didn't you?
Just to hear the voices, not to hear the content of the calls.
Okay. And the voices were your brother's voice, right?
But I listened to the calls just to hear who was on them, so I don't know what content they're referencing.
I heard your answer. My question to you now is, your brother's voice was on the calls.
He was on some of the calls I listened to.
Okay. Your mother's voice was on the calls.
She was on some of the calls I listened to.
Did you have any secret meetings with your brother post bump that happened in South Florida?
No.
You were asked about Jeffrey Lacasse and the way that your relationship ended. What is OkCupid?
OkCupid is a dating website.
Were you on that dating website?
I was.
Were you on that dating website at the time that you were dating Mr. Lacasse?
No, I wasn't.
And were you speaking, so I guess if you weren't on it, you weren't speaking to multiple men from the website during the time you were dating Mr. Lacasse. And I'll remind you that you provided your phone in this case and it was cell-brighted, downloaded.
Objection, Your Honor. Argument.
When questioned in court, Wendi insisted the character wasn't based on her. She said it was based on a friend, that the details were different, that people were reading too much into it. That was fiction, just fiction. But prosecutors pointed out something undeniable. The book's author bio, written in 2011 before the divorce, said that Wendi resided in Florida with her boys. Not her husband and her boys, just her boys. Like she'd already erased him from her life. 2 years before the divorce. 3 years before the murder. And there's something else. Wendi gave a presentation to a writer's workshop after Dan's death. She referred to Dan as her late ex-spouse. But then she made a joke. She called him her latex spouse. Like it was funny. Like his death was material for wordplay. Who does that? The book was supposed to be about human trafficking. But what it really revealed was a woman who'd been planning her exit for years. A woman who saw her husband as an obstacle. A woman who'd already written the ending. She just needed someone to make it happen. Here's what makes Wendi Adelson different from everyone else convicted in this case. She never cracks. Never slips. Never says the wrong thing at the wrong time. She's testified at 4 separate trials. Been questioned by multiple prosecutors. Been cross-examined, directly examined, and everything in between. And she's never been caught in a lie that prosecutors can prove. That takes skill. Or preparation. Or both. She has immunity. Use and derivative use immunity. That means prosecutors can't use her testimony against her. Can't use evidence derived from her testimony. It's protection, but it's not absolute. If they find independent evidence, if someone flips, if a recording surfaces that proves she knew, they can still charge her. The immunity doesn't cover lying, doesn't cover perjury, doesn't cover new evidence. So when he walks a tightrope, answering enough to comply, but never saying too much, never giving prosecutors that one piece they need to make a case. And it works, year after year. Trial after trial. She walks out of courtrooms free, while her brother rots in prison, while her mother dies behind bars, while the hitmen serve life sentences. She remains untouched. But is she unscathed? 5 people convicted, all connected to her, all part of a conspiracy that prosecutors say was designed to give her exactly what she wanted. Freedom from Dan, freedom to leave Tallahassee, freedom to take her sons to Miami. And she got it all. The relocation, the name changes, the distance from Dan's family, everything. State Attorney Jack Campbell said after Donna's conviction that decisions about further charges would come in the coming weeks. Months have passed when he hasn't been charged, and people are starting to wonder if she ever will be. If maybe she really is too smart. If maybe the perfect crime isn't getting away with murder. It's being close enough to benefit from it without ever being provably involved. Let's talk about what we know. Facts. When he wanted out of Tallahassee. Emails prove it. She wrote a book about a woman stuck in a small town. When the court denied her relocation, she was furious. The Adelson family hated Dan Markel. They called him names. Discussed ways to pressure him into giving up custody. Days before Dan's murder, when he told her ex-boyfriend that Charlie had looked into all options to deal with the Dan Markel problem, including hiring a hitman. She knew. The murder happened. 2 hitmen drove from Miami to Tallahassee, paid by Katherine Magbanua, who got the money from Charlie Adelson, who got it from Donna Adelson. The chain is proven. Wendi benefited more than anyone. She moved to Miami within weeks. changed the boys' names, cut off Dan's parents, got everything Dan's death made possible. But there's no smoking gun with Wendi's fingerprints, no recorded call, no text message, no witness who can testify she explicitly conspired. She's protected by layers, by family members who won't talk, by immunity, by intelligence that kept her far enough away. Legal guilt and moral guilt aren't always the same thing. Wendi Adelson might be living proof of that. Today, Donna Adelson is in Homestead Correctional Institution, serving life without parole. Charlie Adelson is in South Dakota. Also life. Katherine Magbanua is at Lowell Annex Garcia, life. Rivera is out. 5 people convicted. 11 years from murder to judgment. And Wendi Adelson is free, living her life, raising her sons. Dan Markel's parents have been fighting for years to see their grandsons. Fighting through courts, through lawyers, when he changed their last names. Cut off contact. The Markel family hoped Donna's conviction would open a door, a chance to reconnect, to give those children a chance to know who their father really was. Not the villain the Adelson family painted, but a man who loved them. But that door hasn't opened. Wendi controls the narrative. She always has. And maybe that's the real skill. Not avoiding arrest, but controlling the story. A murdered law professor. A conspiracy that took a decade to unravel. 5 people behind bars. And 1 person still free. Wendi Adelson has never been charged. She has immunity. She's answered every question in court. She's denied involvement. Legally, that should be enough. But this isn't about what's legal anymore. It's about what's true. And we may never know exactly how much Wendi knew. Whether she asked for this or just let it happen. Whether she's a victim of her family's decisions or the silent architect. Intelligence can be a gift. It can also be a weapon, a shield, a way to stay ahead of consequences, a way to benefit from a crime without being caught committing it. Wendi Adelson is smart. Everyone says so, and maybe that's the answer. Smart enough to know what was happening. Smart enough to stay quiet. Smart enough to let her family take the fall. Smart enough to walk away free. Dan Markel's murder will never be fully solved. The person who might have wanted it most, who benefited most, will probably never face a jury. Will probably never hear a verdict read aloud. That's the real tragedy. Not just that a good man was killed, but that the person who might have set it all in motion will never answer for it. This has been Dark Trail Files. Subscribe if you haven't already, because cases like this, where the truth hides in plain sight, are what we do best. Until next time, keep questioning, keep searching, and remember, sometimes the most important evidence is the evidence that never makes it to court. Stay vigilant. This is Dark Trail Files, signing off.